Well. Day 2 in the books, a lot of action, and we are set up for a whirlwind tomorrow. Rick Spielman, the Vikings front office, trade back 4 times right at the end of round 3. They're loaded up with 9 draft picks tomorrow. You know there'll be a lot of moving and shaking tomorrow, wheeling and dealing, maybe moving up to go get their guys, maybe moving back to even next year to stockpile for the future. But Sam, 3 picks in the books. What did you take away from day 2 here today?
Offense. The Vikings go center, tight end, running back, and you tweeted it out. You know, it's the mirror image of 2015 when it was defense. Finally, the offensive side of the ball gets the undivided attention of this front office. And the third pick was probably the most surprising because I was expecting maybe another offensive lineman, defensive tackle. Charles Omenihu was there. They go running back, which is probably about the 6th thing I would have expected. A little early to go with the running back, but I think the team's looking at 9 picks tomorrow. They're saying, okay, we can afford maybe a luxury offensive pick for a running back who we think can compete for the RB2 position in Alexander Mattison. So that's a little bit off the beaten path, but the Irv Smith pick fulfills a need. It sets up somebody long-term who can be a Kirk Cousins pass catcher. I like what they've done, and I like what they've set up for tomorrow because now they've got the capital loop to get into the mid-round sweet spot, rounds 4 and 5 if they want to, in exchange for some of those 6th and 7th round picks.
Yeah, and a lot of big names still left on the board. Just because we're through the first 3 rounds doesn't mean there's plenty of talent still to find. In fact, I've got about 15 to 20 big names that I'm surprised are still there. And of course, Rick Spielman's been able to find guys like Stephon Diggs, Stephen Weatherly's, Anthony Harris, Adam Thielen, and undrafted. So plenty of talent still remains. Let me talk about the running back pick just for a second. You know, I thought that was a bigger need quietly heading into the weekend than I think a lot of maybe Surface fans thought. You know, we have Dalvin Cook, but listen, how many games has Dalvin Cook been healthy for in his 2 seasons? And the other thing, when he was down and out, it was always Latavius Murray that was rock solid and consistent. No injuries plagued him. He was rock solid in between the tackles as that bruiser at the goal line. And again, in those short area situations, I thought the Vikings were obviously going to go try to replace Latavius Murray. I agree with you. I thought it was a little early. I'm usually a proponent of waiting till rounds 5, 6, 7 to grab some big bruising running backs like Ozegbo from Nebraska. But it's clear they love this guy and they love him for that Latavius Murray role. So I think they're sleeping easy at night, which should make fans feel a little bit more confident in the pick.
Yeah, well, this is a guy that he wasn't putting up Darrell Henderson numbers at Boise State. I mean, he only averaged 4.9 yards per carry for his career, which is fairly low in the college game, but bruiser, super durable. He was averaging 30 carries per game down the stretch his junior year. He was just given a massive bell cow back workload. He's not going to have that kind of role in Minnesota, but I think he can fill that Latavius Murray void, and he was talking on the conference call about how he loves contact. He wants to be physical and get that hard yardage. And, you know, Mike Boone on the roster, Amir Abdullah on the roster, Rock Thomas's future is murky, but none of those guys really strike you as the short yardage, 3rd and 2, give the ball to him for 3 yards kind of back. And Alexander Mattison might be this guy.
He is. And again, I think there's a reason they drafted him in the 3rd round. They're excited about him. A wrestling high school champion, a 195-pound class. He's a former track star as well. But when you just look at the build, 5'10 and a half, not that tall, 211 pounds. He's built thick, rock solid, and again, a guy that is going to move the chains. Look at Zimmer wants to get back to playing great defense, and like in 2017 when went then a magical run, 13-3, was a lot of Latavius Murray, 3rd and 2, like you mentioned. You know I'm running, we know we're running, and there's still nothing you can do to stop us. I think Madison's going to be, no, not the focal point, but a great complementary piece to Dalvin Cook. I love the balance, what they bring. Irv Smith Jr., you talked about him a little bit. I don't think the Vikings have had a dynamic tight end like this on the team for a long time. Listen, this is a guy that they're going to move all over the field in a new pass-happy league in the NFL. You look at the Travis Kelce's, the Zach Ertz. These guys get moved all over the field. Expect to see some Irv Smith in the 3-receiver look, whether it's in the boundary as an outside big boy or in the slot. This guy's super athletic, and he makes people miss after the catch. Can't say that about Kyle Rudolph, who offers a different bag of tricks, and it'll be interesting to see, and this is going to be the big talker heading into tomorrow, will there be a veteran surprise cut or trade like a Kyle Rudolph? I've mentioned Trey Waynes maybe once or twice. Do you think that could be an option to move a guy like that and clear some of that cap?
So if you're a big fan of Kyle Rudolph and you had heard my question to Jamal Stevenson, who we talked to after the Irv Smith pick, you might have been pretty disappointed because, I mean, you were there, Luke. Jamal Stevenson didn't give any sort of vote of confidence to keep Kyle Rudolph. He said, I'll just defer to the coaching staff on that one. But then Rick Spielman got up tonight and someone asked him a similar question, and he said, no, we like what they both bring. We can see them on the field together. Maybe not as much 3 wide, maybe more 12 personnel is essentially what he alluded to. So, you know, they're not tipping their hand right now, Luke. You know, I think the corner run went before their pick at 50, so they lost out on maybe a value corner in the second or third round, which reduces the chances, I think, of Waynes getting dealt. And you know, with Rudolph now, one of the last remaining veterans that you could cut to get under that cap number, you know, again, it's not that much money they have to conserve, a few $1 million. Maybe Rob Brzezinski has a few more tricks up his sleeve, something we don't even know of yet, but it's going to be fun as a Vikings fan if indeed Rudolph and Smith can coexist. David Morgan's the bruiser. Maybe it spells the end for Tyler Conklin after 1 year. Don't know if they could keep 4 on the roster. They might, but that's going to create a lot of fun competition in training camp.
2 positions I'm telling fans right now to keep a close eye, and remember, Rick Spielman always talks about the future, 2020. You've got 2 safeties that are going to be free agents next year, and Anthony Harrison, J-Ron Kearse. Amani Hooker from Iowa is a name they've been tied to, and still some great depth at that safety. And there's just so many big-name receivers I'm really surprised that are still there. Keep an eye out. They're looking to add a 3rd receiver, Laquan Treadwell, likely on the way out after this year, and really just not a lot of depth and competition. So safety and receiver, although it may not seem like a big need right now, I think you can get great value with all that extra ammo.
Amani Oruwariye, corner out of Penn State, someone I've got my eye on. If they do go after a corner to replace a potential, you know, expiring contract to Mac Alexander, Trey Waynes, or wide receiver, Stanley Morgan Jr., slot guy out of Nebraska. That's somebody I like a lot.
Love it. Sam Ekstrom, Luke Inman, live at Eagan TCO. We'll be back again tomorrow. Check out all our content and draft coverage on zonecoverage.com.